Ramming speed. Ramming speed!
Bonjour everyone, my name is Lieutenant Nugget, and welcome back to World of Voice Cracks. Yes, voice cracks seems apt for today, as I've been having a lot of them. No idea why, it just happens sometimes. And to waste your time today, I'm playing the VK 3002M Tier 6 German medium tank, because it's top of the tree E50M. It's on sale, and to be honest, I've not been really playing the Germans really a lot. And the reason for me not really playing the Germans is when I started playing this game 5 years ago. What am I doing with my life? I started off with the Mouse line, I started off with the Jagdtiger at that point line, which is now the Jägeru line. And I ignored every single other country because Germans are superior, yeah? Well, not in World of Tanks. And I kinda grew bored of the Germans, especially after playing the VK 4502A. That tank is, in the words by Wargaming themselves, problematic. But meh, I finally have the VKB. You know, the fun thing is actually about the VKB and the VKA. The very first line I started playing in World of Tanks was the Mouse line. Starting at the Lord-Tractor to the Panzer 35T, Panzer 38T, Panzer 38NA, and the Panzer IV, blah 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 blah. I still don't have the Mouse. It's the line I've been playing the longest in World of Tanks. The very first game was in a German tank to play and get the Mouse. Still don't have it. But recently, with the addition of the Grill 15 and the E50M actually being top of the tree, I started playing the Germans again. And so far, meh. The reason I've been holding off from getting the E50M for so long were a few tanks. And those tanks, to be honest, were the Panzer II, the Panzer IIIe, the Durchbruchswagen 2, the VK 3001H, the Panther 2 and the E50 stock. And that's quite a lot of reasons in my eyes. But, you know, E50M top of the tree, it's finally time, I kind of have to. It's, to be honest, the thing I've been waiting for to finally start this line. You know, with the E50M top of the tree, I should have made this video like 2 weeks ago, because in not even less than a week, the top of the tree of the E50M will stop. So, if you're watching this in time, by now, do it, yeah. And that is the reason why you are seeing me play the VK 3002M on Malinovka. And, yeah, I don't have 6 cents. And the VK 3002M 3002M, difficult, the th sound for a non-English speaking person, doesn't really stand out as a tier 6 medium if you have, for example, the Cromwell. The Cromwell is a faster tank, it's a smaller target, fair enough, it has more armor than the VK 3002M. It's got better ground resistances. It's okay, fair enough, the gun on the VK is better, it has higher penetration and better accuracy, but still, the Cromwell has higher DPM. So, the Cromwell is just a better tank.
Oh, but Phil, the VK 3002M has sloped armor.
Yeah, well, 60mm of sloped armor still does nothing against an IS-3. Now, fair enough, the VK actually has a bit of turret armor, 100mm to the front compared to the Cromwell 76mm. But if we compare it to the Sherman has higher DPM, better ground resistances, better gun handling. It only doesn't really have the armor, even though the hull armor is still better than the VK. And that was the Easy 8 we're talking about, not the Sherman Jumbo. And still, I don't hate it. It is not great. Fair enough, it's not great, but it's just not bad. It works as a tank, but I can't wait to sell it to get my Panther. Now here's a thing, why did the Germans sometimes switch from calling a tank, for example the Panzerkampfwagen 3-4 and the Panzerkampfwagen 4, to Panther? Because the Panther is technically the Panzerkampfwagen 5, and the Tiger is the Panzerkampfwagen 6. So why would they call them the Tiger and the Panther, instead of just the Panzerkampfwagens? Silly Germans. And that trend sort of continued. You had the Panzerkampfwagen 7, which was the Tiger 2. And then you had the Panzerkampfwagen 8, which was the Mouse. I guess Germany just really likes their animals. And the fierce ones, because Panther, Tiger, Mouse, Leopard, fierce animals. And well, as I'm going to show here, the side armor of the Easy 8 is not that good. As I rammed him, and I rammed him for 312 damage, and I took 178. So it's a bit difficult for me to read what's on screen because it's so small. And where I can play the VK3002M, Reese can do it better. Because that's what Unicums do, right? They do things better. Anyway, I was talking about animals, and speaking of animals, I was browsing the internet in the evening, as you do. Wow, that sounds really, really bad, but oh man, how am I going to talk myself out of this? You know, I'll just show you what I found. Pow! That's a swan. A swan playing with a ball. The thing is, it's not about the ball, it's about the neck of the swan. Why does a swan need such a long neck? Because there is no reason for a bird to have such a long neck. If you would think about a giraffe, it needs the neck to eat the leaves off the trees. And an elephant has the, the trunk for it. But why does a swan need it?
Well, famously, maybe it needs to eat the things off the bottom of the sea and the log on the bottom of the ocean.
What? I don't know. Yeah, but ducks don't have a long neck and they dive. And here's a picture of a swan without a neck. And to be honest, it kind of works, but it just looks like a really fat white duck. And yeah, a swan is just a really fat white duck with an elongated neck. It's like someone was like, you know what this duck needs? It needs a long neck. Just extended it. Jesus. Evolution is a weird thing. It probably doesn't help with flying or navigating, because how would a long neck work with looking left and right? It would only disrupt the airflow along your body. So they have evolved to not dive anymore and are basically really lazy ducks who are like, I want to eat that. In 1,000 years, my grandchildren can eat that without diving. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit here and with my family, I'm going to sit here for generations and generations until our necks have evolved to the point where we can just stick our necks into the water and eat it without diving. Yes. And the same counts for a goose. There's no reason for a goose to have a long neck. Some animals are just weird if you think about it. Animals are just really, really weird. There's even a Pokemon modeled to a swan. And have a look at how sassy this Pokemon is standing there. It's like, you ain't doing that. No. You ain't messing with our necks. I got a bit distracted thinking about swan necks, and then yeah. I guess I haven't salted swans for long enough. Let's talk about a different subject. The subject of the Olympics ended on Sunday, actually Monday, 1 o'clock at night for me, in Brazil. And the Olympics is always a weird topic, if I'm really honest. Because if the Olympics are here, everyone enjoys them. Everyone watches it. Well, I say everyone. Like, a lot of people watches them. And they're like, oh yes, the Olympics, I'm from my country. But as soon as the Olympics end, and the stories of how the Olympics are not going to be in Tokyo, and they're going to be expensive, and there's going to be buildings broken down to make, like for example a stadium, people are in outrage, because the Olympics cost a lot of money for a country. But then when the Olympics arrive in Tokyo and they start, everyone loves it! And it is the same story over and over and over and over. Everyone hates the Olympics until they start, and then they love it for a solid 3 weeks, and then they hate it again for 4 years. For example, in Brazil had a lot of issues going up to this Olympics. The water was never clean, the buildings were never in time finished. Greece had the same thing. The buildings were never in time finished. London had the same things. The buildings will never be in time finished. And yet it every time works out. Now, that is something you cannot fix. The Olympics is always going to be a controversial thing because it's going to cost a country a lot of money. Just a huge amount of money. Now, of course, you can say, well, they make money, by all the tourists that come in, and then they buy stuff there, and they have to stay in the hotels around the Olympic area. And yeah, of course, they have to. But it's never enough to earn back the spendings on building the hotels, the sporting areas, everything. It just never is enough. But the thing is, the Olympics will forever be switching from country to country to country, because it is, at this point, a prestige thing. If a country can say, I have successfully hosted the Olympics, that will gain tourism. It's also a tourism thing. It will lure people to their country to also do stuff there while they're there for the Olympics. For example, if they're there for basketball and there's no basketball game that day, they will go do other stuff. Like, for example, in Rio, they would go see the giant-ass Jesus Christ statue. Or just go to the Copacabana, which is just Rio. The Copacabana is Rio. That's the whole of Rio. Just do something in the city. It just gains money for them. But the thing is, it is every time so damn expensive. It nearly bankrupted Canada. It nearly bankrupted Australia. It nearly bankrupted Greece. Although Greece was not in a good, area back then. It still isn't. But still. Then there comes the next issue. You have built all these beautiful facilities and hotels and bigger stadium and swimming areas, diving areas. And then after the Olympics, it just gets abandoned. There are many, many pictures of urban explorers going into old Olympic areas to see what happened to them. If I can find pictures of something like that, I'll put them in the description, but it just gets abandoned. Like the Sochi Winter Olympics 2 years ago, completely abandoned. Nothing left of it. It got built, it was a big mess of it as well, because it was not on time, but in the end it was. And then it's just abandoned. There's nothing to do there anymore. No one is there. And to be honest, it is kind of the same with World Cup football. Also hosted in Brazil 2 years ago. It's almost as if it was all planned for Brazil to win the World Cup football and then the Olympic Cup football. Well done, Phil. I applaud you. But still, they built a lot of stadiums that cost a lot of money. They destroyed a favela to build a stadium, and that stadium is still there, and a lot of homes got destroyed. And Brazil is not a wealthy country. It just isn't. It's not America. It's not, for example, Great Britain. It is a country, it is running, but it's just not as wealthy. So that means that a lot of people don't actually have homes, and in Brazil they have found a way to still give them a home. That are the favelas. They are not pretty, but they give them a roof over their head. But instead, Brazil would rather host the Olympics, spend a whole lot of money, which they are not guaranteed to get back, than to help those people. And that is the issue that people have with the Olympics. A country would rather host an event that would not make them money guaranteed than to help people in their own country. Now, listening back to all this has kind of shown me my political standpoint on the Olympics. I love watching them. I do. I love sports. But the fact is, they are expensive, and countries almost go bankrupt trying to host a 3-week event after they have been trying to save themselves. And I don't want to continue about my political standpoints of things, because politics in the YouTube comments section, that fire would burn brighter than the Great Fire of London in 1666. But the fact of the matter is, the Olympics will never end. And that is a good thing, because that is just the ultimate way of showing which sporters of their own respective country are the best in the world. And I'll come back to that particular part where the best in the world when we have world championships, which specifically say best in the world, then Olympic champion, which doesn't necessarily mean best in the world, but you are an Olympic champion, so congratulations. Because you're not called a world champion, you are called an Olympic champion. Now, the thing about the Olympics never going to be removed, and the Winter Olympics never going to be removed, we can fix that. Have it hosted in one country or in one specific region. The Olympics started in Greece. Have it hosted in Greece every 4 years. The climate is perfect. It is not too hot. It is not too cold. It is next to a sea. This is the Summer Olympics. I'm not sure about the Winter Olympics. You can host them in, the mountains of Italy or something, because it's cold there and there are mountains and there's snow. Have it fixed. Have it so that the Olympics go back to Greece, the origin, not bankrupt a country every 4 years. Now imagine if the Olympics are hosted in Greece every 4 years. No other country would spend far too much money on building stuff, use it for 3 weeks, and then abandon it for the rest of their, lives. Greece can build it once. They have already built it in 2004. They can rebuild stuff, they can renovate stuff, and keep it just there, and keep it maintained. Just maintain it for the next 4 years. Don't let it just break down and stuff. Keep it a bit clean, and when the Olympics come around, you don't have to rebuild it again. You just clean it up a bit. Now, of course, that is easy for me to say. I'm just a kid in a room talking into a microphone. And countries would not give up on the fact that they cannot host anymore, because they would miss out on tourism. And that is bad, apparently, because tourism is what helps a country stay alive. Greece, that really needs the money right now. Greece, that is actually in trouble. Greece, a country that I goddamn love because the food and the people are so nice. Totally not biased of having the Olympics hosted in Greece. And that was my first idea, have it hosted in Greece. Just the place of origin, every 4 years over there. Keep it maintained. It is easier for everyone. It is cheaper for everyone. But nah. 2020, Tokyo OP. Now the second idea I have is a bit more difficult. We build a wall. No, wait, I'm not Trump. We build a giant island somewhere off the coast of somewhere and have everything there. Every single facility to do sports in. Make it a gigantic island with hotels for the guests, hotel for the sporters, every single facility that they need for every single sport that they have to do, and have it hosted on that island every single time. It is bloody expensive, but you can control everything that comes on the island and who goes on the island and who goes off of the island. You control everything. That island will probably be one of the most secure islands in the world, and it is cheap because you build it once, which will be incredibly expensive, and then you maintain it. Now again, where would we build it? Now that's a good question. I would still say somewhere in the Mediterranean near Greece. Now this will be a big island. Like, I mean, huge. And it will be expensive. But if Dubai can build whole maps of the world out of sand in their sea, then we can build an island in the Mediterranean, slap a butt ton of hotels in there and facilities, and host the Olympics there. And not even the Olympics, any other world championship, any other anything. But again, I am just a kid in a room that just talks about stuff. And that is me done talking about the Olympics. I'll be back in 4 years to say the exact same things, but instead of the Copacabana, the streets of Tokyo. And with that, Reese is showing us how to play the Panther. The Panther, which I will get soon, and will probably play 2 games semi-live and show them on YouTube. Why I will play it stock and hate it, and then free XP the rest of it to the E50M. Until then, I will bid you adieu.